So when I didn't have an idea of what I was doing chemically, I got help. So explain who you are a little bit and why you're a really good person to get help.
I don't know if I'm a really good person to get help, but my name's Kris, and I teach organic chemistry at the University of Lethbridge. I've been doing this for 15, 20 years now, and so when Stacy came to me and said, hey, I want to dye this stuff, with Indigo, no less, I said, yeah, this sounds interesting.
I want to dye without dyeing.
I've also synthesized Tyrian purple, dibromo indigo, which is a slightly different molecule than what we're talking about here, and done that from scratch, just for a fun project.
And then the other thing is, Kris has been in a few of my other videos. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he's Sword Suds Science, I'll tag him below. He does everything. If it has to do with everything from reenactment to like cool glass stuff to beer. This is the guy. I mean, you have two jobs technically. I mean, you're an organic chemist instructor and you're also a brewmaster.
Well, those things are sort of the same thing. I mean, brewing is mostly chemistry.
Yeah, so I know not everybody gets help of an organic chemist when they do dyeing, but you know, there are sources out there to not dye while you're dyeing.
And if your town has a university, there's probably somebody in the chemistry department who would find this pretty interesting. It's a neat set of reactions to do.
Cool. Thank you. Alright, so I have questions for you about indigo. And look, I even got indigo threads for you to play with from the bill cases.
Those are fancy.
Yeah, so...
Neat.
First question.
And very dark.
When we put... Okay, so the biggest mistake I see people make when they make indigo is they dump it in the water and it floats on the surface of the water.
Right.
Why did that not work?
Because the indigo is not actually soluble in water in that form. So you can put indigo on top of water and it will never ever dissolve. The water stays water, the indigo stays indigo powder, and nothing will ever happen.
And then you just end up with blotches.
You end up with essentially a stain, not a dye, right? The indigo powder gets ground into the fibers, it'll get ground into your skin,
yes,
it'll get ground into the pot. If
did.
you've got a porous pot, it'll turn blue.
Cool.
And it'll just stay there.
Next question is, what do you have to do to make the indigo turn into a dye and not a powder of doom?
So there's two things that you need for indigo to become soluble, right? And that is, one is the pH has to be high.
Okay.
So you need to add a base, sodium carbonate, for example. Washing soda.
Okay.
Baking soda probably isn't a good enough base, but it would probably, like, it might work okay. You could try
Washing
it.
soda, is that like the borax stuff that you add to your laundry?
Not quite. It's
Okay.
actual washing soda.
Okay.
Borax is borax, and washing soda is washing soda.
Okay.
They are two different chemicals, actually.
Cool. Good to know.
What would borax do with indigo? I don't know. You'd have to actually try it.
Let's not do that. Let's not do it.
It seems like an expensive experiment to try.
Oh god, it smells like Yellowstone. Oh.
Glorious.
No wonder purple maker was an insult.
I'm going to take 7 steps backwards this way.
Ready, go. It's already going. It's already changing color.
Holy, that was fast.
It stinks.
Oh, my shoe stinks.
Oh, do you want the tongs for that?
Ah, it's all good. It worked.
It's working. Hey, the silk neckline.
Hot and smelly.
Just let it. I think it's gonna fall if you don't. There we go.
Some blue bits. They'll probably wash out.
I'll find
You might
out.
want to do this again.
Screw those chives in particular.
Don't wear good clothes. Good thing I didn't.
Oh, thank goodness you're wearing blue.
Highly convenient.
Well, I also did it inside out on purpose because I had a feeling that it was going to get those little speckles on it, right? Mm-hmm. That is such a great color. That's pastel. Jimmy, when my family said pastel, that's what we're referring to. Let's see if it changes color. Okay, I'm going to be honest. The only thing I remember organic chemistry is that benzene is this really cool hexagon.
Yes, and this is nothing like that.
And it does neat things, and that's pretty much all I remember of organic chemistry. So, for the people who have not done a lot of chemistry, what is actually happening?
You are essentially removing oxygen from the water and the indigo.
So I've dyed the dress, and as you may have noticed in the video, there were some interesting little spots. So I thought I'd be clever and go online to see how to oxidize those spots out of the fabric. So, first of all, I can tell the way I soaked it. I was hoping to get more of a consistent this color, but, I mean, if this is someone's work outfit that they're working in, maybe they're not going to wear the best of the linen stuff that they own. I'm just happy that I was able to dye. If I were to suggest doing this again, dye your fabric and then do the cutout. This is lighter than I had intended. I still like the color. I was hoping for something a little bit closer to that, but I still like it. I mean, and now I know what not to do on here, and it's just an exercise in learning, right? What did we add to the water in this one to reduce it?
We added sodium dithionite. So that is it's an artificial reducing agent. It is a reducing chemical. The traditional way of doing it with indigo is to use stale urine, which has a very similar compound in it. Does the same thing. It removes the oxygen from the indigo and makes it soluble.
Sadly we had no pot to piss in, so no, we're not going to do that.
There's lots of different ways to do it. You can also ferment it, right? You could ferment it with oatmeal. Just let oatmeal sit in the pot with your indigo for a couple of days and it'll remove all the oxygen on its own. Wild yeast will do the job. Okay, so I remember looking at the Maywa site and they had a whole bunch of fermenting versions. Is that what they were doing then? Exactly the same every time. Whether it's fruit, you can use oats, you can use wheat, you can use malt, you could just use plain old sugar and baking yeast. Okay. That would do the job. Okay. All of it's the same thing. You're always just reducing the indigo into leuco indigo, which is the lime green, yellowy, soluble dye. Okay, so the way you know that it's working is, one, the powder stops from floating on the surface and it actually goes in the water and it turns that lime green color. It turns lime green. Okay, why did it stink? That's because sodium dithionite, when it decomposes, makes hydrogen sulfide gas. So it smelled like like rotten eggs. Yellowstone. Gotcha. Yep. Smells like Yellowstone. That's a much better way than saying rotten eggs. Or farts. It smells like farts. For this stuff, we pulled it out. Why? So, I was curious. I don't know if maybe you know, and I didn't warn you that I was going to ask this question. If you notice, when we first saw it, it looked like a darker color. But the interesting thing is, why did the silk, a protein base, do you think, take it more than a fiber base of the linen? If I had to guess on that, there are two possible things that could be happening. Okay. One is the silk may have pores that are deeper inside it that the indigo can get into, because once it turns blue there, this is actually indigo powder that's permanently attached to the cloth. Okay. Right? So we reduced it, made it soluble, and then when we oxidized it in the sunlight and that turned it blue, and then that is now permanent on the cloth. So my guess is that silk has some sort of porosity or something that would attach to the indigo more strongly than plant-based fiber. That's my guess. Yeah, I don't know if anybody actually knows. If someone does know, can you comment below, like, if you know this? And remember, we're just goofing around, figuring out how this works, and I called a chemist out because me and chemistry aren't friends very much anymore. And I'm not a fiber guy. Yeah. I know that silk and vegetable fibers are different. Yeah. And that's all I know. Okay. Well, no, I mean, that's more than I know. I just also want to kind of go and talk just really quick about natural dyeing. A lot of the chemicals we use are probably not that great for you, right? Well, define the dose makes the poison. It's like anything else. Yeah. I mean, they're not that bad for you. Okay. You can buy things that have sodium dithionite in them in a grocery store. Yeah. You can buy indigo from Amazon if you really wanted to, or
Yeah.
Maewa, or
Yeah.
or any of the other places that you can get indigo from.
Okay.
You could grow it.
So is the product in the solution that we made, is it reasonably safe? Like, I mean, not to drink, but like we're not poisoning anybody with it, right?
No.
Okay.
And the sodium dithionate will decompose within a couple of days.
Okay.
So what we did would be essentially a temporary sort of, it's nasty poison for a few hours, and then once it's all done, it's all done. Salt and probably sodium sulfate and other things in there.
Which is why it didn't hurt your garden.
Nope.
And it's another reason why we did it outside. Don't do this inside.
That's mostly for the smell. I don't
Yeah.
think you could poison yourself, but it would be a bad idea to try.
Things not to do.
Do not do this indoors. It's a terrible idea. It smells really, really bad, and you might hurt yourself.
Okay. So if you try it outside. Look this up by someone who knows what they're doing, or get help.